Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we will be taking a look at the night sky for November. So we passed a couple of things at the end of October. We had a partial lunar eclipse, and just at the start of November, Jupiter reached opposition. We will be talking more about eclipses in the future. Hopefully we'll get a chance to look at a solar eclipse as well as a lunar eclipse. For now, we'll take a look at the evening sky in November. It hasn't changed too much. Once the sun goes down, we will have Saturn and Jupiter. As I mentioned, Jupiter is just past its opposition, so it's a little bit further around its orbit around the sun. It's a little bit past where it would be if it was directly behind the Earth. It's still roughly in the same position. It does take a long time for Jupiter to change drastically, but we can see here just after sunset, Jupiter and Saturn are already visible. They're quite low in the sky. They will look a little bit higher as we get later, but they won't get too crazy high. They'll stay pretty much in the middle of the sky, a little bit lower height-wise, so we can see them there. Looking up into the body of the sky itself, we can still see the summer triangle. Of course, it won't be there for very long. We're definitely getting into winter now. There will be other things visible in the sky, and this is still quite early in the evening. We'll push forward to 9 or 10 o'clock, a nice easy time to go stargazing at this time of the year. It's already perfectly dark, even by 8 o'clock in many locales in early November. So coming up to the point where Jupiter is almost in the middle of the sky, Jupiter is almost due south here, Saturn's already getting nice and low, and the summer triangle's already dropping off over in the horizon. We can see Orion just starting to rise over here, so we're finally getting into the time where Orion will be visible at a reasonable time in the evening. It's starting to be visible there a little after 10. If we push forward towards midnight, it will get a little closer to the sky, or a little closer to the middle of the sky. So there it is at almost 12, and as we come up to 1 o'clock in the morning, it's right there in the middle. So this is a 1:45 or 2:45 in the morning in the early part of November. But as we push later into the month, well, there comes the moon. So we can see that at the end of November, Orion's already pretty much in the middle of the sky at around 1:30, 20 to 2 in the morning. But the full moon is right there as well. As we move into December, in early December, that will be less of a problem. We won't worry too much about the moon for now. We'll move back to a moonless part of November the coming weekend, and we'll keep pushing forward. As we push forward towards sunrise, you will see Venus popping up again. Venus, of course, its orbit is over 200 days. It takes a long time to move across the sky. But Venus is getting into that retrograde part of its orbit. So we had a whole video talking about orbits and the way planets move across the sky. So we can see here as we move forward, all the stars appear to move one way, whereas Venus almost appears to move back towards the sun. And of course, it is going around its orbit, going back to a position that's closer to the sun as we move around November, or at least closer to the sun from our perspective. It'll stay pretty far from the sun the whole time. So we'll move towards the end of November again, or at least up to the 17th, 18th. Just over here, we have the constellation of Leo. So I'm going to bring up the lines of the constellations. They're a little hard to see otherwise. This is Leo, the line. So we can see Leo there. Venus is in the constellation of Virgo, and Jupiter way over there somewhere at the moment. So Leo is where we see the Leonid meteor shower come from. So meteors can pop up in any part of the sky. If the Earth is moving through a cloud of dust and gas, you could get little streaks of that dust and gas burning up absolutely anywhere. But we name these meteor showers after where they begin, where we see them starting. So we'll turn this up to there we go, an exceptional Leonid rate. No guarantee that we'll have an exceptional Leonids this time around. But if we take a look at the sky, there's a couple. Now, these meteors are just popping up randomly, so we'll see if we can find one. There's one. It took a path across the sky, and if we trace that path back, well, who knows where we'd end up. These meteors are pretty random. The Leonids all seem to point back towards Leo. So if you see one of those, there's one, little flashes across the sky. If you traced it back in the direction of its tail, if it's a Leonid, it will roughly come from the direction of Leo, even though it could pop up anywhere in the sky. And of course, you will have some random background meteors. The background meteor rate is around 10 10-ish meteors an hour. We can see up here getting 10,000 meteors above your head an hour. That is an exceptional rate. So rates that are very, very high are quite rare. We're probably going to get something a little bit lower. Even hundreds like that is quite a high rate. We'll go a little bit lower than that. The Leonid Meteor shower will be coming up on the 17th and 18th of November, so keep an eye out for that. You will get a better view, of course, in the countryside with less light pollution. You will have less to worry about. So there we go, a normal rate of 10. We call the rate of meteors in the sky the zenith hourly rate. So if we were to lean back or lie on our backs, looking straight up into the sky, the zenith or the zenith is right in the middle. So you'll have about 10 meteors an hour cross there on a normal night, just counting the background meteors. We will get more meteors when there is a meteor shower, when the Earth is moving through a cloud of dust or gas. In the case of the Leonids, we'll be moving through a cloud of dust or gas that was left behind by a comet. That's usually the case. We'll move back a little bit towards the early evening and sticking with the constellations here. So we're looking at nice and early in the evening. This is only about 8:30. Already the summer triangle is definitely off to the side, and what we're seeing in the middle of the sky are shapes like Andromeda over here, Pegasus over here, Perseus and Cassiopeia. These are some nice constellations to look out for. They have reasonably recognizable shapes even in the city. So even looking up at the sky here with light pollution and a little bit of a glow, we can see this square of Pegasus. So the square of Pegasus is a recognizable shape in the sky, part of a bigger constellation, the same way the Plough or the Big Dipper is part of Ursa Major. So the square of Pegasus is an asterism within the constellation of Pegasus. Going across the square of Pegasus in this direction will bring us into the constellation of Andromeda. Cassiopeia is just up there, and if only we could see a couple more stars. Let's head out to the countryside. We'll see a few more stars out there, and that will make picking out the constellations a little bit easier. So yes, we have this kind of fin shape here in the sky. That's the constellation of Perseus, and we also have this sort of pentagonal shape down here, the constellation of Auriga, the goat herd. We've also got Uranus. So Uranus is coming up to its opposition when it is directly behind the Earth relative to the Sun. Jupiter just passed this opposition, but it's still pretty much behind the Earth, nice and bright, nice and full, almost like a full moon. So if you are looking for Uranus somewhere between the Pleiades or the Seven Sisters, which we mentioned in a previous video about deep sky objects, in between the Pleiades and Jupiter, somewhere along this line, that's where you'll catch Uranus. Now, we haven't taken a closer look at Uranus yet, if memory serves. We haven't zoomed in on this very distant, difficult to observe planet. But we'll take a closer look here. So we can see there's Uranus. It's very, very faint rings. Uranus does have rings as well. And we can see several different characters here from Shakespeare and other works of English literature. That's right. They're not all named after gods and myths and legends from ancient Greeks. We've got a Juliet there from Romeo and Juliet. I know that there's a Portia in here from The Merchant of Venice. We've got several different characters visible in there. So with Uranus, we'll leave it there. We'll talk more about Uranus in a different video. It is, of course, only visible with telescopes. You won't see it as a little dot, even in a dark countryside sky. So we'll move back into the city where it will certainly be invisible. Yeah, around a 6 for us here in Cork City. And there we go. Still looking into the sky. We've got that lovely shape of the square of Pegasus, nice and high above the south. We've got that kind of fin shape of Perseus then over here. And then this pentagon of Auriga. This is really just a teaser. We'll talk more about the constellations visible during November in a later video. And hopefully I will see you then.